Welcome to The Guide at Fish North Georgia. Brought to you by these fine sponsors. SPRO, working with America's best anglers to design the world's finest fishing tackle. Nichols Lures, handcrafted to perfection. Georgia Blade, makers of premium fishing lures for over 3 decades and home to the Georgia Jig. Crypto Bass, tournament grade, Georgia made. And be sure to visit fishnorthgeorgia.com. Now here's Josh Little.
What's up, guys? Josh Little here with Fish North Georgia, the guide, and wanted to take a few minutes to go over the lake we fished this weekend. We're in the first weekend of September, so it's Labor Day weekend. We wanted to stay away from the major lakes, so we went to a small farm pond. It's called Moore Lake. It's a pay lake, so it's $5 per person to fish per day from sunrise until sunset. It is one that there's a small john boat there. You need to bring a paddle, though. You can fish from the bank, or you can even take your kayaks and you can launch your kayaks in there, and it's just a good little small pond to catch some largemouth or brim or even crappie. So it's just a great little farm pond. We get out there, and the first thing I started throwing was a chatterbait. It was about 12 o'clock, so you could tell that they were actively feeding on fish, but it's just one that, with it being as hot as it is, I felt that the chatterbait was probably the best bet. Get it down in the grass and work it through the grass. But I didn't have any success with the chatterbait, so I switched up to topwater because we were seeing a lot of topwater blowups and back in one of the little creeks running in. So I get back there and I started throwing a SPRO bronze-eye, and this is their popping frog. Diamondback is the color. It's one of their newer colors that they have. SPRO, in my opinion, makes one of the best topwater frogs on the market. As I was throwing this frog, what I noticed is if I was throwing it next to the bank, most of the fish would just scatter. You could see them making wakes, getting out of the shallow areas. So I started taking the frog and throwing it into the grass on the bank and pulling it into the water. And that's when I started getting the blow-ups, because at that point it was no longer spooking the fish. As soon as it hit, it was sitting in the grass and just slowly pull it in. And for them, it wasn't a large disturbance. After a few of those, the more I started casting the areas, the bite just kind of stopped. So I switched up to a Kitex, and this is called the Noisy Flapper, and it's 3.5 inches. It's not a hollow body. It is their topwater frog, but it also sinks. These appendages actually come attached when you get it out of the pack, and I tear mine apart. And I'll do the same thing. And the reason that I like to throw a soft plastic topwater frog or something that imitates and I run across the top of the water like that is because it's a lot less distraction or noise in the water as it hits. You can throw it out on the bank, or you can actually throw it in the water. It doesn't make a lot of impact when it hits. And then I like to crank it pretty quickly to keep it to stay on top of the water, and the appendages just flapping on the water creates that disturbance, and you get a lot of bites this way. If you're fishing ponds or even lakes that have very finicky fish about seeing anything large or anything like that, soft plastic is the way to go on the top water. I'm generally only going to throw black or white. That's the two colors that I like to throw the most if I'm throwing a soft plastic that way. The hook that I'm running is a 5/0 EWG. You can get away with a 4/0. The reason I like the 5/0 is because it really puts that hook at the back end of the frog, so you're not going to have those short strikes. Most of the time when he hits it, they're going to take it. Similar with the bronze-eye, what I'm going to use is 40-pound braid. Anytime I'm throwing it in any type of grass, if I'm fishing extremely heavy grass, I may step up to 50-pound or 60-pound braid, but most of the time I'm going to stay in that 30 to 40-pound range. Just in general, if you land into a nice 7 or 8 pound largemouth and then you pull up 15 to 20 pounds of grass with it, which is a very good possibility, you want to have the ability to pull that fish through all that grass. That's the reason I recommend throwing that 30 to 40 pound braid. The popping frog is probably my favorite because you can walk it, but then also you can pop it, create a little bit more commotion in the water. SPRO does have a the regular frog. They have a spitting frog, which has a different front to it. They have a glide, and then of course the popping frog. In my opinion, like I said, SPRO has the best frog in the market. It's got great hooks. The material's great. Most of the time, you don't have to cut the skirt material at all. It's right at the front of the frog itself. And then the material does great for just taking the beatings from the fish and doesn't just fall apart. The Kitex, that's probably one of my favorite to throw soft plastic wise. You do get 5 in a pack. Like I said, 3.5. It's called the Noisy Flapper. Most of your Kitex have like a squid scent to it. These do not have the squid scent to it, so I think that's a good thing, because that squid, just after a while, it's terrible, especially in the heat. If you're throwing topwater frog, you're constantly touching it, readjusting it on the hook. And that's one thing I can say about these versus a lot of the other Kitex soft plastics, is these are a lot harder. It's a stiff material. I caught 4 on one frog, and the only reason that I actually pulled it off is because I ripped the back of it trying to rehook it into the belly of the frog itself. So these are a great plastic to use. We also caught fish on a wacky rig around the fallen trees. That's another great one you can throw there. And then also jigs. Jigs are great there. So if you're headed out to Moore Lake, definitely take a topwater. And I would say take a wacky rig or even a jig. And then also chatterbaits, because chatterbaits do very well on your farm ponds. Didn't work well for me, so that's one of those that if you just want to take topwater, I would definitely take that, because as we get into those cooler nights, the fish are actively moving up on the banks. They're going to be in the shaded areas a lot more, but they're also going to be working those bank lines, feeding up on fish. So thank you guys for checking out Fish North Georgia. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for watching the guide here at Fish North Georgia. Our mission is to build a community of anglers to give you the best and latest information to make your day on the water more successful. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, click the bell so you'll be notified of any future content. Make sure you check us out at fishnorthgeorgia.com, where we carry a large variety of bait manufacturers from here in the North Georgia area. So we appreciate you being part of our community, and we'll see you soon.